Then at the end of that, and at the end of a couple internships, then you had to decide where you're going to go to work. You had 14 job offers?
Well, I mean, to put it in context, it wasn't that unusual because it was 1999. Computer scientists were in high demand. It was the height of the first internet bubble.
I didn't have any. Cardiac surgeons were in high demand at that time, too.
It was really like literally you'd go to the gym at Stanford, and if people thought you were a computer science grad coming up, they'd be like, my buddy's got a company. You should talk to him. So I was also somewhat indeterminate about what I wanted to do. I'd done a lot of lecturing at Stanford, so I thought a lot about teaching.
Did you like teaching?
I liked teaching a lot. I thought a lot about teaching. I thought about doing some technology consulting. I thought about programming. I didn't know if I wanted to be at a big company or a little company. So I kind of, did kind of a sampling across all of those different fields. And it was very easy for me to pick my preferred job offer in each of the fields. If I was teaching, I would go here. If I was going to do consulting, I would go there. But it was hard to actually integrate across.
Did you do a spreadsheet?
I did. Well, I had a matrix. I love matrices.
Not surprising.
And so I had this whole matrix, which was actually, it led to what I always quote as the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. But I'd done a matrix for when I picked my college, with all the different college choices and all kinds of different facets, one row for each college, one column for each facet. And I did the same thing for my jobs. So I had each job offer on a line and then all these different columns. I had, by then, of course, I had a friend who was an economics major, and he was like, I don't think we can actually model these these cells with values. They're really trajectories and curves, and we spent the whole night drawing up all these curves and trying to figure out happiness, lifestyle factor, where things could go, all these different pieces. And at the end, I'd put off my job decision too long. It was the beginning of May, and I remember getting really overwhelmed, and just feeling really overwhelmed. Sort of just about the whole process, and just really flustered. And Andre, my friend who was helping me, sort of stopped and said, well, what's going on? I was like, well, I have to pick something, and I just it's not at all clear what to pick. And I was really overwhelmed by the whole piece. I remember kind of bursting in tears at about midnight. And he was like, well, this has been really fun for me, doing all these graphs and charts. And I was like, well, I'm glad it's fun for you, but it's really stressful for me. And he said, he's like, I've now looked at this for the last 5 or 6 hours with you, and I think I understand it at least as well as you do. But he's like, I think you're approaching it all wrong. I was like, okay. And he said, you're looking at it and you're trying to find the right choice. And he's like, that's not what I see in this matrix. What I see are a bunch of good choices. And then there's the one that you pick and commit to and make great. And I think that was, I often see things in very black and white. The right choice, the wrong choice, the best choice, the less than good choice. And I think it was really important. I think that is the best piece of advice I've ever gotten, which is to just say, in a lot of situations, there's a lot of good options, and then there's the one that you pick to and commit to and make great. And so so I went to sleep that night and woke up in the morning, and Google was the first thing that I thought about in the morning. It was where my mind had kind of gravitated towards, and it was for all kinds of reasons I could articulate, like how smart the people there were, and the fact that I felt really unprepared to take a risk that big, because most startups do fail. And all kinds of reasons I couldn't articulate, but I just wanted to do it. And so, that was the process of choosing Google. But it obviously worked out. It worked out really well. At the time, I thought we would. I was like, I realized I could do consulting, I could do teaching, but I wanted to be in the process of building a company. And I realized that getting to be there, being a part of the decisions, understanding how you try to build a Fortune 500 company or how you try to build something that the whole world can use. Even if you fail, you're going to learn a lot more being part of those discussions than consulting on those discussions or being more removed from them.